that there have been infringements on free speech that actually affect not just the British, of course, what the British do in their own country is up to them, but also affect American technology companies and by extension American citizens. So that is something that we'll talk about today at lunch.
Free speech in the UK, I'm very proud of our history there.
Yeah, really? You're very proud of locking people up for putting Facebook posts up?
Well, Starmer can say it.
Yeah, but he talks absolute
That's what I mean. He can say it, but he's locking people up for Facebook posts.
He's lying. He's locking people up for Facebook posts. We'll come on to it later. Mike Ainsworth, the MP, went and appealed his case yesterday, which a lot of people are asking me, how has he got an appeal so quickly? Was there any intervention from the government?
Why is he still drawing his £91,000 salary?
And why has he managed to get an appeal through so quickly, which has now meant that he doesn't go to prison, which means that he doesn't necessarily have to quit his job?
When UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer met US President Donald Trump at the White House on February 27, 2025, it wasn't just handshakes and platitudes. Starmer opened by handing Trump a letter from King Charles inviting him to Britain for a second state visit.
Oh my God, did you hear that? A letter from the King presented to the President of the United States inviting him round for a second state visit. Was that not the most toe-curlingly embarrassing thing you've ever heard? The tummy tickling that's been going on from a letter from the King. I mean, as a tactic to deploy to get the President on side, it worked, I guess. The flattery worked, but man alive, that was, that was toe.
A move Trump publicly accepted on the spot. Commentators called it unprecedented, and the stage was set for a high-stakes optics game. From there, the narrative shifted to ideology. US Vice President J.D. Vance pressed the UK on what he called infringements on free speech that spill over into American tech platforms, and by extension, American users. Starmer pushed back, saying Britain has had free speech for a very, very long time, and that the UK guards it preciously. Free speech wasn't just a debating point, it tied directly to policy. The UK's Online Safety Act, intended to police illegal and harmful content, has drawn criticism from platforms like X, which warned the law risks suppressing lawful speech if enforced too aggressively. That transatlantic friction was exactly the kind of concern Vance flagged. Add to that a swirl of viral clips about people being arrested for social media posts, fodder for US critics of UK speech laws. Some of those clips were miscaptioned or ripped from context, but they still fed the perception of a clampdown. Even so, police have used existing communications laws in some cases related to online comments, which keeps this controversy alive. Meanwhile, Trump, never shy about symbolism, highlighted the Winston Churchill bust, back in its rightful place in the Oval Office, reminding both sides that arguments about free speech are stitched to a broader story about national identity and democratic tradition. Politically, the King's invitation was a masterclass in optics. On one level, it was classic statecraft, smooth the path for September's visit, and show the special relationship is humming. On another, it risked looking like flattery, a bid to keep Trump on side while the UK seeks room to maneuver on security, trade, and tech regulation. Starmer's calculation is obvious. Appear confident abroad, pragmatic at home, and unflappable when challenged. But there's a trade-off. The more he reassures Washington on free speech and digital rules, the more he risks agitation from civil liberties advocates and parents' groups who want tougher online protections. That's the tightrope. Signal openness to US partners, and platforms without losing domestic credibility. For Trump, the optics were cleaner. He got the visual of deference, a letter from the King, a public acceptance, and a narrative that his blunt defense of speech is resonating beyond US borders. The more complicated Starmer's answer sounded, the more Trump's directness stood out. That contrast is political gold for his base. J.D. Vance's role mattered, too. By framing British policy as something that directly affects American companies and citizens, he shifted the debate from UK domestic issue to transatlantic concern. That gives the White House leverage in future talks about platform compliance, encryption, and cross-border enforcement. So what did this showdown actually decide? Not policy, yet, but it set the tone. Starmer signaled he'll defend the UK's approach while insisting it's compatible with free speech. Trump and Vance signaled they'll challenge any law that chills expression or burdens American platforms. Between now and September's state visit, expect intense behind-the-scenes wrangling over where to draw the line. In an era when authenticity wins eyeballs, every gesture lands with extra weight. The King's letter, the Churchill bust, the sound bites. About speech. If Starmer balances optics and outcomes, he might turn this into a win. If not, Trump will make sure every awkward pause becomes campaign ammunition.